Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Roderick. Soy profesor aquí en Colombia para mejor parte de 4 años. Y Colombia es un país muy chévere, sí. Entonces, let us do it again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roderick Grant. I've been a teacher here in Colombia for the better part of 4 years. And Colombia is an extremely wonderful country. Many things have been said about Colombia. That's when I first got to Colombia. I didn't tell my mom where I was going. Jamaican mothers are going to say, I know, based on what we've seen on television. I know my mom would be sad about it and she would try to prevent me from coming here. So I just decided, I'm going to go to Colombia. One day, my friend said to me, Roderick, why don't you go to Colombia? Why don't we go to Colombia? She and her fiance at the time, they said, why don't we just go to Colombia? And I said, you know what? I have some things to do here in Jamaica, so go when and I'll come. 6 months after they were here in Colombia, I I contacted them and I said, how's everything going? How has it been? And they said, yeah, it has been good. And they said, why don't you come? I said, I don't remember the company that you told me about. And that's when they reminded me of personal growth. So they sent me an email address and said, okay, contact this person. I contacted the person, and a day later, I got a response. I did an interview. I did 3 interviews, rather. I did 3 interviews. I went and they requested an international police record. I went to Ocean Boulevard. I think that's the name of the place in Jamaica, downtown Kingston, and I applied for the police record. I got the police record and I came. Yeah, that's one thing you're going to need here in Colombia. Here, to get a job here in Colombia, you need to present your police record. I I didn't remember to tell that to Mr. Granston, but you need an international police record. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but you do. So after presenting your police record to see that you're an upstanding citizen, then they set up some other interviews for me at the time. That's what they did. I They set up some other interviews with some other institutions, some schools, because that's what they'll do for you. They will When you get here, you will interview at some schools, and these schools will say, yes, I want this one, or no, I do not want this one, or they all want you, and then you decide which one you want to work based on the feedback from the interview, your personal feedback from the interview. Anyways, when I got to Colombia, it was January January 11th, the 11th of January in 2016, my very first time here in Colombia. So when I got here Wednesday night because flights are usually on Wednesdays. Got here and that you do not have to worry about the flights because I'm currently in dialogue with an airline. Sorry about that. In dialogue with an airline to do a general pickup in Jamaica for the students, for my apologies, for the teachers coming here. So when I got here, the second day I got here, the Wednesday rather, and the Thursday the Wednesday night. As soon as I got here, I was told to come to the office, the personal growth office, the Thursday morning, and immediately I went to the personal growth office. I met everybody there. They were nice. Yes, they were nice. And at the time, the secretary was Sarit. Sarit. Sarit is now in the US. And yeah, because there are some opportunities working with personal growth. opportunities to grow. So I spoke with Siegfried, the general manager or the legal representative, and we went through the contract again because at that time I didn't know jack about Spanish. No, no, I didn't know a thing about Spanish. So I was really lost. Me, my the biggest problem I had when I came here it was taxi. I was taking taxis left, right, and center. And taxis can be expensive in Bogota. It depends on the amount of they're metered taxis, so it depends on the amount of time you spend in traffic. And the traffic in Bogota, whoosh, it can be horrible. So I was spending a lot on taxis. But anyways, after meeting with Siegfried, that's the legal representative for personal growth, I went out with Saret, the then secretary, and she brought us to the home. Interviews here can be really, really, really informal. Really informal. So myself and an American was brought to the house of an academic coordinator. When you're going to understand what I mean when I say academic coordinator, the person, she's like the principal, but the principal reports to her. So there's I'm going to explain the hierarchy of high schools here in Colombia in a few minutes. So we went to her house. We went to her house, and the interview was semi-formal because it was in her house. She was sick and on leave, but she was going back to school the next Monday, and I went there. I did the interview with her. I got back. I came back to the office. Now this American dude, he had years and years and years of experience as a teacher. He spoke Spanish and everything, but the lady chose me to work. So I decided, oh, I like this lady. And to this day, I still like that lady. She's an honorable woman, Garela. So I I was given the address of the school because the interview wasn't at the school, and I realized that I had to pass the school on my way to the office to where I lived at the time. So I said, "Oh, this is the school." Okay. They told me to go to school the next Monday. The next Monday, on my way to school, oof, I took a taxi, and the taxi took forever to get to the school, and it was close. The taxi took forever to get to the school. When I got to the school, I mean, this is what will surprise you here in Colombia. Their culture, they are, as opposed to what people say, Colombians are some of the most friendly people you will ever meet. And that is the truth. Now, when I got to the school, the school is called Agustiniano Norte. It's a Catholic school. It's a huge private school. As a 2016, it had a student population of more than 2,000. More than 2,000 kids. And this is the next thing. Their school system, the school system here, they start, you do not see a high school separate, only government schools. Some, you see a high school separate from a primary school. So here, basic school to grade 11 is on the same complex. The only thing is that basic school is separated, but you will see basic school kids. You will, as if you're not a basic school teacher, you will hardly ever see basic school kids in some schools, depending on the school. Now with Agustiniano, I I went there. I when I got to the school, and when I got to the school the Monday, Gabriela was already there, so Gabriela was in a meeting, and I went there. I mean, remember, I do not speak Spanish, so I was putting myself to the test. But I was met by a young lady, Maria Paula, and this is what surprised me as I was saying. She greeted me with a hug and a kiss on my cheek. I was surprised. I was uncomfortable because, that is not the Jamaican culture. It's usually a shake hand or yo wagwan. But I did not expect yo wagwan. You're good. I did not expect that. What I was expecting was, good morning, Mr. Grant. We've been expecting you, and how are you doing? I was expecting something of that formality, but what I what I was presented with was a hug and a kiss and a cup of coffee. I mean, because Bogota is cold. Colombia is a cold country. Depending on where I am now, it's not cold because I am in a tropical part of Colombia where you can get the Jamaican apple. They call it, what do they call it here? Pomarosa. Now, when I got to the school, I was greeted in that fashion, and I became uncomfortable immediately. Then I was being led all over the place. Then Gabriela came and saw me. She started introducing me to the rector. Now, the rector of the school is the principal of principals. Now, let me explain that. So, this is the hierarchy I was talking about. So, you have the general manager. It's a company. So, you have the general manager here, and the rector would be right here. If it's a family-owned school, the rector would be one of the family members. Then you have the general manager, who is responsible for hiring and firing people. Then, if it's a religious school, you have pastoral, and most schools here are Catholic schools. Then, but it's not necessarily that you'll find the pastoral department in the school. Then you have what's it called? The 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 academic coordinator, and under the academic coordinator you have sub principals. So the academic coordinator is like a principal as again. Then you have a principal for preschool, a principal for primary school, and a principal for high school. Now at Agustiniano Norte, being a huge school, Agustiniano had a principal for preschool, yes. Then there was principal for primary school, and you're going to realize that primary school ends at grade 5 here in Colombia. Well, in South America, high school starts at grade 6. Then there was they call it middle school. So from grade 6 to grade 8 is middle school, and then grade 9 to 11 is high school. So you had a different principal for each of those areas. You had a principal for preschool, primary school, middle school, and high school. So that was my very first week here in Colombia, was at school rather. First week at school. I mean, I could not believe. I was expect it. It is formal. They will have meetings almost every day. What they will do is put a translator beside you so that you can understand fully. But that was with me back then, because I did not understand a word in Spanish, and me, I was bored at times. That's the truth. But whenever I got to a classroom, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you are in a Colombian classroom teaching English, you have to be on your P's and on your Q's. Why? These kids are taught grammar for as long as they have been alive. Learning English to Colombians is learning grammar. So these kids know their grammar. They might not use them as they should, but they know their grammar, and they will your class will always be active. They will ask you questions. I mean, I've told kids, to be honest, I cannot answer that question right now. Let me go home, or at the end of the school day, or some other time, I will give you the answer. That is the truth. And you have to be truthful to these people because they appreciate the truth. And who does not appreciate the truth? I mean, why would you lie to a kid? Because these kids are really honest, and they will come to, they are loving. That's one thing I kept off when these kids were coming to hug me to say good morning. I said, no, it's okay, just say good morning, and that's okay, because my culture says different. It might come off as offensive to some, but I mean, for me, it was a safer thing to do.